you anywhere. This is the new Nissan.
Football season is in full swing at Vandal Sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City. Bet, watch, and win all season long. Plus, enjoy your favorite games from all over the world with 10 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, 13 big screen TVs, and plenty of comfortable seating. Just head over to Vandal Sportsbook at Bally's in Atlantic City to get in on all the action this season. Vandal wants every bettor's experience to be enjoyable and fun. Visit vandal.com/playwell to learn more. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Monday Football Eagles game day. Eagles tonight on 97.3 ESPN FM as they take on the Washington Commanders. Second time this season. We will get into all of those details. We'll preview the game. I'll give you my pick for the game. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, our lead NFL writer, will join us coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you can also join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Yes, you can text in or DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Give me your predictions, your picks, your thoughts for the Eagles versus Washington game tonight. I gave you, if you were listening to the locker room with Billy Schwein when I filled in for Billy yesterday, I gave you a little hint of what I think is going to happen in tonight's game, but I'll give you the full breakdown in just a few minutes. But before we get to that, we got to get to a couple other things. One, there was some Eagles breaking news a little bit earlier today, and then I'll get to the NFL slate, and then we'll start breaking down the Eagles game tonight. The breaking news that happened earlier today was Avonte Maddox has been placed on injured reserve. Now, when the Eagles made this announcement, they didn't say if it was a retroactive move, okay? So if I'm reading the tea leaves properly, it sounds like that they put Maddox on IR today, which means that he's going to have to miss the next 4 weeks. Because remember, depending on when you put the guy on IR is when the clock starts on him being on the IR. So, like, if they're going to put him on the IR before Sunday, or they retroactively put him on the list, that means this week counts as one of the missed weeks. And if that's the case, then Maddox would be eligible to return for the Giants game. But if it's today, then he probably can't return until the Bears or Cowboys game. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But either way, you're going to be missing Avonte Maddox. Yeah, maybe tonight it doesn't kill you, but you have a couple games coming up, especially with the Packers and the Giants, where not having Maddox could impact you because of who those play callers are and who those coaches are. So it's something to keep an eye on. I think the Maddox being ruled out might actually be a blessing in disguise because it allows the Eagles to game plan moving forward without him. The problem is, the last time we saw him miss time, it was kind of ugly for about a quarter and a half. It felt like every time, it was so frustrating watching that game play out that, you're watching the game and you're watching, a team like the Cowboys almost pick and choose where they wanted to throw at times. Now, look, Jonathan Gannon has done a great job to my chagrin. I was wrong about this. I was worried a lot about him in the preseason. And now that we're in November, I've had to make a, I don't want to call it a 360, but I've had to make a bit of a turnabout with this because when you look at the situation with the Eagles defense, there have been multiple games this year where they have been very frustrating. But Gannon, in most of those games, has done an excellent job at turning things around in the second half. So there's a possibility that in this game, or I'm not going to go to the Colts game. I don't even know what their team is going to be moving forward. I mean, you beat the hapless Raiders. I can't read too much into that. The Packers, it was an incredible win yesterday, but Rodgers, if Lazard and Watson are good to go, it does make you worry a little bit with that team. And then the Titans, they don't have a ton of offensive weapons, so maybe Maddox has hurt them there. Giants are interesting. Dayball's an incredible play caller. So you're talking about maybe tonight, Packers, Giants, 3 of the next 5 weeks. 3 of the next 5 games, this is a possibility. So it'll be interesting to watch how this plays out. I think it's very important to look at games like tonight in the next few weeks and see how they adjust. If they, do they play more zone? Do they try to blitz a little more? Do they have 100% trust in Josiah Scott? We have to wait and see what happens. But I think Maddox, because of the role he plays in the defense, him being out is going to be an interesting part of the chess match from week to week. And I think that for Gannon, this is going to be the real litmus test. Look, the Lions game was an abomination defensively. The Texans game, you played very poor defense in the first half, got much better in the second. The same thing happened with the multiple games this year. The Cowboys game was an example. You play better at one point in the game, then you play bad, then you get better. So I think Maddox is going to be an interesting test for Gannon. And I think that, it's one of those deals where it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Of course, we'll get to what you guys have to say on the text board in just a bit. 609-403-0973. Your DMs at 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And don't forget, you have no Jordan Davis for about the same stretch. By the way, Jalen Hurts, that is a bold suit. I'm watching on the TV here in the studio. He's got like a fuchsia suit. Like, it's not red, it's not pink, it's like that fuchsia color, that crayon that was in your crayon box as you were a kid. For those of you who are not old enough, when we were kids, we had crayon boxes, and there was like 60 colors in there. Jalen Hurts' suit looks like fuchsia. That color that you weren't sure what it was, but you thought you were cool, so you learned how to pronounce fuchsia. That's what Jalen Hurts' suit was. That's a bold look. It's not a bad look. It's a bold look. All right, back to the football. I totally lost my train of thought. Back. So the reason why the next few weeks are important, because no Maddox, no Davis, they're not the most important players of the team, but they're part of the larger scheme. And you look at what happened yesterday in the NFL, and you see that it has a massive impact on the Eagles, because there were 3 teams in action whose all of their results have a major domino effect. Because if the Eagles win tonight, which I expect them to, I think they will, okay? You have a situation where the Eagles may only have a certain number of games that are even worth anything down the stretch. You may get to a point, if things play out the way we think they will, that the last 2 games of the season may not really amount to anything. And here's why. Number one, the Packers win over the Cowboys was massive. Aaron Rodgers became the hero that every Eagles fans needed, but they never thought they wanted, but they needed him yesterday, and he came through. Him, Christian Watson, Allen Lazard, major win for the Packers. That could turn their season around. And so now the Cowboys get knocked down a notch. Now the NFL standings, the Cowboys are no longer just keeping pace with you anymore. Now, the Cowboys are basically having to play for a playoff spot. The Cowboys' chance to win the division just got knocked down a notch, because at 6-3, here's the problem for the Cowboys. Your schedule does not get easier down the stretch, because before the Cowboys play the Eagles, guess who they got to play? They got to play the team that just went to Buffalo and beat Buffalo at Minnesota. They got to play the Giants for the second time this year. This is a Giants team that's flying high and overconfident right now, if you really argue. And those are two games. The Cowboys have to win those games. And if I'm being honest, folks, I don't know if they win both of those. I think that the Cowboys can beat the Colts. They'll definitely beat the Texans. They should beat the Jags. Then they got the Eagles. But then after the Eagles, they got Tennessee on the road. So there's a chance for 3 more losses on this schedule for the Dallas Cowboys. And you're already 6-3. So that Eagles game for them may be more about playoff seeding than it is about, well, anything else. The Eagles right now are playing for the number 1 seed, not just playing for the division anymore. And with the Vikings win yesterday, this is the other side of the coin. The Vikings, whose only losses to the Eagles, they have to keep pace and hope the Eagles lose somewhere on this schedule. Whether it is a upset versus the Packers or a game against the Titans or at the Giants on December 11th. The Vikings win in Buffalo was a massive win because the Vikings did it in multiple ways. 1, they won with Kirk Cousins chucking the ball a gazillion times. 2, their defense came up big. Patrick Peterson, I don't know where he's been all year, but he just showed up yesterday. And boy, that game was a little wild because he read Josh Allen's eyes the entire throw. You look at the reverse angle of that play, and you realize that Josh Allen never took his eyes off of one receiver. And Patrick Peterson's eyes followed him, went there, got the interception, game over. By the way, Peterson had an interception earlier in the game too. So, Pat Peterson driving the clock back a little bit. And now the Vikings, they're confident. They're playing well. You could argue that the Vikings could be the biggest threat to the Eagles in the conference because if they keep winning out, they could be the number 1 seed if the Eagles lose a couple of games down the stretch. And that's what makes tonight so important. The Eagles got to send a message. They got to set a tone. They got to go out there and get the job done. Because guess what? For Minnesota, their schedule isn't easier than the Eagles. You could argue it's almost the same schedule, just with different teams shuffled in and shuffled out. Because the Vikings are going to be a favorite to win almost every one of these games. Just like the Eagles. The question is, will they? Tonight, the Eagles can send a message to the NFL. We don't care about the Vikings. We don't care about the 7-2 Giants. We're not scared of Aaron Rodgers when it comes to this couple weeks. We're going to take this to Washington and beat them up. Josh Hennig here on GameNight, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Over in the text board, it says, anonymous texter says, why does everybody have the Eagles barely beating Washington and worried all of a sudden about them? I think we beat them by 20. Well, people are worried because we live in a world where people, they project their own issues onto other people. So what people are doing is the Eagles themselves, I don't think they think they're going to lose this game. I think there's people out there who are projecting their own worries about, the second time they're playing this team. Oh, man, no Avonte Maddox. Oh, man, they haven't played in X number of days. They're projecting all of these worries and all this anxiety onto their analysis of the team, which is why people like me got to take our emotion out of the analysis and try to actually have a real conversation. By the way, shout out to Jeff in Ocean City. Yes, 64 colors, not 60 in the crayon box. Yeah, the crayon box. By the way, Andrew, thank you. It was a good question that you asked about why people are saying the word about the Washington. The crayon box is 64 colors, and one of them is fuchsia. I'll never forget that the rest of my life. You know how long it took me to learn how to say the word fuchsia? You know how hard it is for a kid my age having to learn how to say that without the internet? I didn't have like Google say, hey, Google, or hey, Siri, or whatever to help me out. No, I had to go find a dictionary and try to enunciate this thing. And I had to go ask my parents what I was even looking at. Fuchsia. Rob Maaddi joins us next. Associated Press lead NFL writer, talk about Eagles versus Washington, plus the weekend in the NFL. The Vikings win, the Bills lose, the Chiefs keep winning. Jeff Saturday won, all that and more. And of course, your text still to come. 609-403-0973. DMs at 973 ESPN. Mobile app powered by First Bank in Seattle.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2022 season tonight against their NFC East rivals, the Commanders.
Quick pitch to Sanders, and he is in for the touchdown, and the Eagles regain the lead.
Pre-game coverage starts at 7 p.m. with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 8:15. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Dine in for these amazing fall specials. Wednesday is crab night. 2 pounds of snow crab legs, $49.99. Or mix it up with 2 pounds of snow crab legs and 4 hard shells for $79.99. Thursdays are for the birds. Whatever the Eagles score on Sunday, you get to save on wings at Chicky and Pete's on Thursday. Plus, limited time fall specials, including bomb pork belly tacos and the garlic truffle burger. Wash it down with our pear elderflower mule or apple cider old fashioned. Chickies and Pete's.
Sure, we have 30 seconds to tell you that drivers who switch to Progressive could save big. But then what? We could romance the legal copy. It never gets the attention it deserves. And some lawyer worked real hard on it. So take it away, lawyer.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Now that was some beautiful legal. Well done, lawyer. Well done.
At Simply Safe Home Security, we know in an emergency, the clock is ticking. So we designed an advanced security system powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture video evidence and verify a threat. Then alert police so you get faster police response. Right now, get 40% off any new system. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save big today. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th. Find a plan that's right for you at walgreens.com/Medicare.
Don't let time pass you by. Door-busting Black Friday sales are going on now and all month at Matt Platt Mitsubishi. Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants your trade, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to get you released, and you'll get more for your trade when you purchase any select new 2022 Mitsubishi SUV, plus every new Mitsubishi Outlander SUV. Put $0 down and pay only 1.9% APR financing for 36 months. Worried that your credit will keep you from getting a new ride? Matt Platt Mitsubishi knows bad things happen to good people. We finance your future, not your past, even if your credit is less than perfect. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week, simply Matt Platt Mitsubishi. Unapproved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Go to mattplattmitsubishi.com for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 12/4/22. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing. I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less. But the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and on. online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Football season is in full swing at FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City. Bet, watch, and win all season long. Plus, enjoy your favorite games from all over the world with 10 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, 13 big screen TVs, and plenty of comfortable seating. Just head over to FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's in Atlantic City to get in on all the action this season. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be enjoyable and fun. Visit FanDuel.com/playwell to learn more. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Gameday being brought to you by our friends over at Jenkins & Sons. We need to make the 97.3 ESPN studio comfortable. That's who we called when we were tired of the crazy temperature fluctuations. One day it was boiling hot in here. Another day it was freezing cold. Jenkins came in and installed a brand new air unit for our studio. 97.3 ESPN, trust Jenkins, and so should you. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy, because Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. For new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, and drain cleaning services, call 609-641-6262 or visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Eagles game day here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Dan EHC chimes in on the text board, says, how about this, Josh? What if the Eagles don't need to win against the Saints at the end of the season? If they already have the number 1 seed wrapped up, the Eagles have their number 1 pick, and that could impact the spot of the pick. It's an interesting question, Dan EHT, because and look, we won't know for sure until we get closer, but there's a couple factors I think go into that. Number one is, where are the Saints at that point in time? Right now, the Saints are tied for the worst record in the NFC. The Panthers, the Saints, and the Bears are all 3-7. So you have 3 teams that are all 3-7. You have 3 teams that are all they're all there for very different reasons, right? The Bears are there because they have just a horrible offensive line, and Justin Fields has to save them more often than not in these games. The New Orleans Saints are there because of injuries and losses in free agency, and I think there was a gross miscalculation by the organization, assuming that Dennis Allen was just going to pick up where Sean McVay left off. I think that the Panthers are 3-7 because they grossly underperformed, and you could argue that their 2 best games have been since Matt Rule was fired. So there's no guarantee that the Saints will continue down this road of mediocrity. Look, they're not going to get the number 1 overall pick because the Texans are probably getting that at 1-7-1. The Raiders having a bad year at 2-7. The Jags are also 3-7. And there's some other 3-6 teams as well who had bye weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Saints do themselves. I think that's probably going to be a huge part of the conversation when we get that point. You mentioned with the Eagles, what if they already clinched the 1 seed? Well, if you're the Eagles, you don't want your guys just sitting around doing nothing for 3-4 weeks, basically. They got to get some playing time. So is it a scenario where you say, hey, we play the first half, we get up to a certain lead, and then we pull the starters in the second half, and we do the same thing the next week against the Giants? It's definitely an interesting conversation to have, and I think that it's a conversation we're probably going to have leading up to that game. I'm sure when I come on here on 97.3 that's a conversation that will be brought up multiple times. For those who are wondering what the Saints' record is down the stretch, the Saints got the Rams next week. Then they got San Francisco, at Tampa, then a bye week. Ooh, that's a horribly late bye week. Atlanta, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Carolina. I mean, oh boy, how many wins on that schedule? 1, 2, or 3 wins the rest of the year for New Orleans? Or are we talking about a team that's 6-11? Like, let's say they lose more than that. Maybe let's say that they're 5-12. Like, I don't know that's going to make you the worst team. So It's an interesting question, Dan HC. I don't have a good answer for it because I think that for a lot of these things, when you look at the Eagles and what they got to do what's best for the team. And I think that, it's one thing to rest guys for the final game of the season. The final 2 games is really aggressive because you know what? The Eagles look like they had trouble getting off the bus week 1. Week 1 of the season, it looked like that they had trouble like waking up or something for part of that game, especially the defense. So do we really want to see them go that long without having their guys get reps just because they have the 1 seed? I think that's the biggest danger of all. To me, it's less about the Saints and their pick coming to you. It's about the fact that I don't want to see the Eagles in a situation where they don't have their guys getting time. Now, look, I know you're worried about injuries and everything, but injuries happen. It's part of football. You can't legislate injuries out of sports, right? Come on. This is Philadelphia. How many times we see Joel Embiid fall and he doesn't get hurt? Joel Embiid goes for a rebound and gets whacked in the face by Pascal Siakam. That's when he gets injured. Not the 200 times he fell throughout the season. So Philly fans know that injuries, you can't predict them. You can't legislate them. You can't always, for lack of a better term, figure them out. So to me, I think the biggest part has to be if you're the Eagles and you're getting that last 2 weeks that Dan EHT texted in at 609-403-0973, you got to make sure that your guys are in the best position to be successful. You can't go out there and, mess around. You got to be sure that you have a situation where if you're the Eagles, what is best for the team? Not what's best for the front office. I can't see Howie Roseman going to Nick Sirianni and saying, hey, bro, if you win this game or else. Joey D. and Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0970. We'll get this real quick before we get to Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. Josh, who do you feel is the most improved player of the year? Is it Jalen Hurts? Well, let's ask Rob Maaddi because I feel like improved player of the year, if they had to ask me, I would probably go Geno Smith. But, Rob, you deal with a lot of the awards with the Associated Press, it much better than I do. Most improved player, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press in the NFL. Who should it be?
Oh, Josh, I think you got to look at Geno Smith compared to where he was, where he came from. I believe it's 5-6 games he started over the last 5 or 6 years, right? Filled in last year a couple games when Russell Wilson was down, and now he's got his team at 6-4 leading the NFC West. To me, he's the most improved comeback player type, that kind of award. Jalen Hurts is more for me in the category of MVP. I mean, this is a guy you look at, and there's Jalen, there's Tua, there's Patrick Mahomes. I think Josh Allen took a little step backward last week, and again yesterday in that conversation. But I'd put Jalen in the MVP category before. Yeah, he's improved significantly to get to that point. But Geno Smith for me is the comeback player of the year right now at this point in the season. And we still got 7 weeks to go. But it's very interesting to see how that MVP race will shake out in the NFL between Jalen and depending on how they finish up, Patrick Mahomes. You could take – and it's Josh, it's not really supposed to be just on quarterbacks. But it's so hard for any other position to win the MVP in the NFL. And now you got guys like you can look at each quarter. Like you can look at Tom Brady and go, what are the Buccaneers without him? The Packers, the last 2 years without Aaron Rodgers, 13-3, 13-3. This year, even with them, they're at 4-6. Like that quarterback position is often, almost always going to win the MVP award. But there's a lot of strong candidates, and a lot of the awards this year are going to be very interesting to see how they play out.
It's interesting. I try to remember who it was actually, Rob, but somebody mentioned Tyreek Hill maybe should be an MVP candidate.
He's
right?
He's got to be worthy of consideration, right? It's so hard to win as a wide receiver. Like Cooper Kupp got some votes last year. I think it's hard to win as a wide receiver. And then when you look at what Tyreek Hill has been able to do in Miami, help that team. They're 7-3. They're in first place. But then you got to go, well, who's delivering the ball to him? Tua Tagovailoa is doing a tremendous job, completing over 70% of his passes, leading the NFL in passer rating. And yes, Tyreek's opened up that offense. He and Jalen Waddle, and now they got more of a running game, and Tua's accuracy is on point. And I think it all works together. And it's such a coach, right? It's such a coach quarterback-driven league in such a way that they're going to get so much credit and they're going to get so much blame. And sometimes they don't deserve all that credit, and sometimes they don't deserve all that blame either.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned Mahomes because I feel like there's a growing I don't want to say appreciation, but like, Rob, you tell me, because like I feel like the media, when I listen to them, when I watch different shows, listen to different podcasts, like with Mahomes, it's like you mentioned Josh Allen's gotten knocked down a couple notches last couple weeks. Jalen, he's on an undefeated team, but that undefeated team has played on one Sunday in like the last 4 weeks, basically. So half the world isn't fully paying attention to them, it seems like. I mean, Philadelphia area, people almost forgot the Eagles were playing because the Phillies were in the World Series, for goodness sake. And it's like Mahomes is going out there and still being Mahomes without Tyreek Hill. I mean, you could argue the Chiefs were almost better yesterday without Travis Kelce on the field than when he was on the field. A couple of those plays was absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, is Mahomes putting his stake in not just the MVP conversation, but to say, hey, if anybody had any doubts about me, I'm still here.
You're right. And what he's been able to do without Tyreek Hill opening up the offense and the passing game for them, and still flourishing, still thriving, still being able to have that success that he's having, it speaks volumes about what Patrick Mahomes is. I think so many people may have taken him for granted because he had so much success early on, MVP, and then wins a Super Bowl, and all in his first 3 seasons. And then the things he's going out there doing, the numbers that he's putting up, the amount of touchdowns, as quick as he's throwing touchdowns, faster than anybody. Like, he's in a conversation with Dan Marino, 100 and whatever touchdowns in X amount of games, and the fastest to this and the fastest to that. I think when all is said and done, I don't know how long Patrick Mahomes is going to play in the NFL. I don't know that we'll ever see anybody play 23 years like Tom Brady, and he may play at 24th next year. But there are some of those numbers that we think are impossible to break. Patrick Mahomes could break those if he sticks around long enough. When you see Brady throw for 100,000 career yards, if there's anybody who's going to reach that, that's Patrick Mahomes. And you're right. People do take him for granted, what he's been able to do. And to be able to have that kind of success without Tyreek Hill, to have success even when Travis Kelce's not on the field, it's just unbelievable. And I think Patrick Mahomes deserves that credit. And Andy Reid, Josh, deserves so much credit. I talk to people around the league, like they just, you know, we in Philly, we kind of like didn't fully appreciate Andy because he couldn't win that big one. Well, he's won that big one in Kansas City. He consistently wins there. And his reputation as a play caller, his reputation as a coach, as a leader of men is very impressive. And it's just, you hear it from people, whether they're former players, current players, didn't even play for him. They all just rave about this guy. They all love Andy Reid.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how you can follow Rob on Twitter at Rob Maaddi. Of course, don't forget about the AP Pro Football Podcast, and of course, Faith on the Field, Saturdays at 9 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, the Eagles are playing tonight. You mentioned the whole thing with Jalen Hurts. You know, he's an MVP candidate. But what are your thoughts on Avonte Maddox? He's now going to miss basically the next 4 weeks by being put on the injured reserve list. You know, I know he's not a big name. He's not Slay. He's not Bradbury. He's not Fletcher Cox, but he is an important part of that defense. So does that missing piece concern you at all?
I think it's an opportunity now where we can see what the Eagles can do shorthanded, and any holes, any flaws, any weaknesses, anything that teams may be able to attack. You're going to see, and I don't think tonight against Washington is that strong of a test, Josh. Taylor Heinicke can do some things running around with the football. He's more mobile than Carson Wentz. He can create. He's had some success with them over the past 3 weeks. But I don't think Taylor Heinicke is going to be able to attack the Eagles' defense and Avonte Maddox being out and really take full advantage of that. And you know what? Matt Ryan being in the starting lineup for the Indianapolis Colts, that's going to be an opportunity where it should be a tougher test. Now that he's playing, that should be a tougher test. Aaron Rodgers, that'll be a tougher test for the Eagles. I don't think they could take the Commanders for granted, though. I don't think they could just go out there and say this is a team that we can roll all up over them, because the way they beat them in Washington, the way they pounded on them, again, I know Carson's not going to be out there. Taylor Heinicke's going to be out there, but I think that leaves a bitter taste in some players' mouths, and they're going to want to come out there and they're going to want to battle, and it's going to be a pride thing. And the Commanders, when you look at it at 4-5, are right there in the thick of it for that third wild card spot in the NFC. If they win, they're going to be right there a little bit closer, and they're going to be leading that second tier of teams that are fighting for ahead of the Packers, ahead of the Rams, who are completely fallen apart. And I still think only one team will get in from the West, and I think it'll be the Niners winning that division. I think Seattle will fall back a little bit, and that'll give the Commanders an opportunity. If they can win a game like this, I don't think they will, but if they can win a game like this, they can stake their claim for making it 6 teams in the East divisions from both the NFC and the AFC making the playoffs. When you look at what they got going on in the AFC and the NFC, it's been a major surprise. I think it's a big story in the NFL that's a little bit flown under the radar because there's so much going on in the league. It is the dominance of the 2 East divisions.
Listen, Rob, don't forget tonight's the return of Nate Gary to Philadelphia, okay?
Nate Gary was a favorite whipping boy of Eagles fans, and you know what? Understandably so for some of those plays over the years.
Yeah, he got called up for the practice squad for the game tonight, so good for him, right?
Hey, Nate Gary. Didn't Nate Gary have a touchdown return? May have been no. See, I confused Nate Gary with Alex Singleton. Remember, Alex Singleton had the ball thrown to him in San Francisco.
Yep.
Interception return against the Niners. Like it was a throw, like right in his chest. But hey, you had to catch it. You had to run it back the other way.
I remember Gary dropping an interception. That's what I remember.
Yeah, I would think you also remember seeing Nate Gary in pursuit a lot of times. In pursuit of tight ends, chasing them down the field.
Yeah. Let's talk about a team that's in pursuit of the Eagles. The Vikings, a massive win in Buffalo yesterday. And look, we can dissect, did Buffalo win or lose the game? Should have Josh Allen played till we're blue in the face? But Rob, 2 things were big for me yesterday. One was the Vikings won with Kirk Cousins throwing 1 million times. And 2, I don't know where Patrick Peterson has been for like the last couple of years, but Patrick Peterson came back for at least 1 game. And between that and the Vikings offensive line actually playing pretty darn good, you could argue the Vikings are trying to, make sure they are still on the Eagles' heels here.
Yeah, that was an impressive win in a game that they just should have lost so many times. It was an exciting game. Like, it was an exciting day of football in the NFL yesterday. But watching that game, all the opportunities the Bills had to ice that one, Josh Allen, it was worse than the miracle at the Meadowlands with Herm Edwards and Joe Pisarcik. But you got to be impressed with the Vikings. The knock against them, Josh, was, they've beaten a bunch of bad teams, bunch of teams with losing records. They beat a couple backup quarterbacks. They beat Miami, but it wasn't Tua. They lost to the Eagles, the best team that they faced. They got crushed by them. But now they go to Buffalo, and Josh Allen plays despite the UCL injury, and Josh Allen plays well for the most part, except for the 2 red zone interceptions and the fumble at the 1 yard line in the end zone in the final minute. But that was an impressive game. Kirk Cousins, I know he threw a couple picks. One of them was pretty bad. Threw for 357 yards, threw the ball 50 times. Dalvin Cook had 119 yards rushing. 81 of those came on the 1 yard, on the one run, the one touchdown. But they're going to be a team that you have to contend with, I think, throughout the season. And if the Eagles slip up, I know the Eagles technically have a 2-game advantage because they hold the tiebreaker. But if the Eagles slip up and Minnesota keeps winning, their schedule gets tougher, though, the next 3 weeks. They've got difficult opponents coming up, winning teams over the next 3 weeks. So we'll learn a lot more about the Vikings. But, hey, when you go to Buffalo and you find a way to beat that team, put up all those points, 33 points. I know one of them was on the turnover, but against one of the top defenses in the league, the Vikings are for real. And, man, Justin Jefferson, what a monster he is. And then TJ Hawkinson, the addition of that tight end to be able to step in, what he's done in the past couple of weeks, Josh, it's really going to just open things up for them.
Before I let you go, Rob, I want to ask you about Coach of the Year, because it's an argument we're starting to have in this area, because you got the group of Eagle fans who are all like, Nick Sirianni's undefeated, right? You know, you got to give it to the undefeated guy. I mean, obviously, if Sirianni goes undefeated for the full 17, that's going to be amazing, right? But you got Brian Daboll, 7-2 with the Giants. I mean, the Giants were a dumpster fire before he got there. And then Pete Carroll. Did anybody expect the Seahawks to have 6 wins this point in the year? I certainly did it. So, Rob, how are you tiering this Coach of the Year debate?
Well, Nick Sirianni, for as long as he's undefeated, Josh, he's got to be the leading contender, right? But there's a lot of viable candidates after that. Brian Daboll, what he's done with the Giants, and then Robert Saleh, what he's done with the New York Jets.
Yes,
depending on if those two teams can continue and get into the playoffs, and if you can make an argument where if the Giants are 12-5, 13-4, and the Eagles end up with 3 losses, well, Sirianni had more talent, and that you can make that case for Daboll. You can make that case for Robert Saleh too. If Pete Carroll continues to lead the Seattle Seahawks and to win that division with Geno Smith, with what was supposed to be a rebuilding team and they're supposed to be the last place team in the NFC West. Like, we talked about the Rams, we talked about Arizona, and of course, we talked about the 49ers, and it was like a foregone conclusion. Seattle's rebuilding. They're going to be in last place. Instead, they're leading the division. He's got to be in that conversation. Right now, though, it's Sirianni till he loses a game. But if there's anything it's not a knock, but he did have a roster filled with talent. But that shouldn't be held against him if he gets his team to a 15-2, 16-1 spot, man. And we've done this before. We've looked at the schedule. I don't know where that loss is coming, Josh. I know it's coming. I just don't know where.
I keep looking at the Packers and Titans games. Those are the two that scare me right now. But maybe I'm just too objective, Rob. I don't have enough subjectivity, and I'm not bleeding green hard enough. I don't know, but
maybe Jeff Saturday's Indianapolis Colts. Maybe he can get them going. Hey, who knows? You never know, right? Any given.
I mean, how annoyed does Frank Reich have to be today, right? Like
that whole situation is so weird. Like, I didn't jump on the criticism of the move because I feel like, all right, maybe you need a voice from outside. Maybe and you brought in a guy who's got a resume. It's not like you brought in a guy who was a practice squad player. I mean, he's a 6-time Pro Bowl center, and right. I know the whole world hated it, but the whole world likes to hate and complain about everything, Josh. But he steps in, and then Matt Ryan's ready to go, and he makes him the starting quarterback. And if they wanted to win when Matt Ryan's injury occurred, you go to Nick Foles. You don't go to Sam Ehlinger. And I thought they were torn between, all right, let's tank for a quarterback in a top 5 pick, but then he named Saturday the coach. Then there's all this criticism, and then there's the suggestion of tanking, and it's like, all right, you know what? Let's try and win now.
By the way, for those who are wondering, the Colts this year with Matt Ryan as a starter have won 4 games. All 4 of those wins have been fourth quarter comebacks on Matt Ryan's resume.
Wow.
So, Matt Ryan may be, 37 years old, but The dude leads the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks this year. So put that on your resume, right?
There you go. Like, he's a winner. He knows what to do. I love Irsay coming out and criticizing everybody. All you critics, you criticize all of us for losing, and then he's coming out. He's got every right to say whatever he wants right now. And not that the Las Vegas Raiders are a good team either.
No, that's a whole nother story. Rob Maaddi for the Associated Press joins us every Monday to talk football here on 97.3 ESPN at Rob Maaddi on Twitter. Check out the AP Pro Football podcast and, of course, Faith on the Field. You can like, subscribe, download both those podcasts or catch Faith on the Field each weekend. An amazing conversation you had with Deion Sanders this weekend. I genuinely felt like that was one of the best interviews you've done, Rob. So great stuff, man.
Appreciate that, Josh. And you keep up the good work, man. I love what you're doing there.
Thank you, Rob. Rob Maaddi joins us every Monday here from the Associated Press here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on a Monday night. Eagles game day coming up. We'll wrap up the show next.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2022 season tonight against their NFC East rivals, the Commanders.
Quick pitch to Sanders, and he is in for a touchdown, and the Eagles regain the lead.
Pre-game coverage starts at 7 p.m. with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 8:15. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot, but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, my name is Jackie, and a little thing that I love about the Chick-fil-A peppermint chip milkshake is the whipped cream and the cherry on top. It's like a little bow on top of this great present of peppermint chip goodness. It tastes like the holidays.
Hey, my name is Chandler, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A peppermint chip milkshake is the little pieces of the peppermint that you get. For me, no milkshake is topping the peppermint chip milkshake.
Order a Chick-fil-A peppermint chip milkshake on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
If you own a small to medium-sized business that kept employees on payroll through COVID, you may have a big cash refund waiting for you. The Employee Retention Credit is a tax credit of up to $26,000 per employee. And now, more businesses than ever qualify. The experts at RefundsPro.com specialize in cutting through the red tape of qualifying for this government program. Most of their refunds are over $100,000. Even businesses that have received PPP funds may be eligible. And there are absolutely no fees unless you receive a refund. So there's no reason not to apply. If your business experienced shutdowns, limited capacity, supply chain challenges, or reduced revenue due to COVID, you likely qualify. RefundsPro.com has already helped hundreds of businesses. So don't lose the refund you're owed by missing the deadline. Get started today with a free 5-minute questionnaire at RefundsPro.com. That's refunds with an S, pro.com.
With approved GMF financing, excludes Corvette. See dealer for details.
When we say nobody beats Bennett, we mean it. Because while most dealers are charging thousands over sticker, Bennett is selling most new models at GM supplier employee pricing. Yes! During Black Friday, you pay what our supplier employees pay, not a penny more. While other dealers are still charging way over sticker, Bennett is still saving you thousands with GM supplier employee pricing during our Black Friday event. You'll save even more with rates as low as 2.99% Yes, 2.99%. Looking for pre-owned? Bennett's got them. And we're paying an unbelievable $7,000 for the worst clunkers on the planet towards any pre-owned in stock. No joke. That's a guaranteed $7,000 for total junk. Just imagine how much we'll pay for a good trade. Bennett Chevrolet, where our sales team is paid not on how much you spend, but how satisfied you are. Imagine that. It's true. And that's why we say there's no beating Bennett. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Anticipation is building. The holidays are just around the corner, and at the Home Depot, we can't wait. With Black Friday savings all through November, you can count down to Christmas early with a Santa Countdown Inflatable Special Buy, only $69.98. Or anticipate when friends and family come to visit with an entrance full of LED lights that will welcome them and the holidays with open arms. Get the holiday magic started early. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
And now an important message from music superstar Willie Nelson.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and for as long as I can remember, I've been fighting for legalization of the one thing that can bring comfort to millions. And of course, I'm talking about Skechers. You see, Skechers shouldn't be illegal. They help so many people ease.
Can we stop the commercial? Willie, I don't think Skechers are illegal anywhere.
Really? But they feel so good. I just assumed that the man made them illegal.
No, you can wear them anywhere, Willie.
Well, pass the Skechers.
Skechers comfort feels so good, it should probably be against the law, because Skechers is the comfort technology company and has all the fits and features you need for ultimate comfort. Fits like Arch Fit, Relax Fit, Wide Fit, and more. And features like max cushioning and air-cooled memory foam. It's legalized comfort.
You know what? I'm going to wear my Skechers across state lines.
You do that, Willie. You do that.
Find Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Okay, smile naturally. Perfect.
Camp's Photography knows wedding season ramps up in a flash.
Smidge closer.
They need to say I do to a studio assistant before clients go full bridezilla.
I'm so sorry. I have to get a different lens. I'll be right back.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig reminding you to trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Because when we needed to make the 97.3 ESPN studio comfortable, that's who we called, and you should too. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. For new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing and drain cleaning services, call 609-641-6262. Online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Dallas at the Boardwalk in Atlantic City. Bet, watch, and win for football, basketball, hockey, the World Cup, and more. Just head over to FanDuel Sportsbook and enjoy 10 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, 13 big screen TVs, and plenty of comfortable seating inside Bally's on the Boardwalk in Atlantic City. Get in all the action with FanDuel at Bally's this season. FanDuel wants every better experience to be enjoyable and fun. Visit FanDuel.com/playwell to learn more. Must remember what order to play in present in New Jersey. The bet online gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Andrew has 33-14 Eagles. Jeff in Ocean City has 28-10 Eagles. I'm going to split the difference. I got Eagles. I'm going to go 28-13. I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game. I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens. Caller 6 and 7 right now at 609-573-3776. You are qualifiers for 99 bottles. 609-573-3776. Caller 6 and 7. You are qualifiers for 99 bottles. The big event is next Wednesday. You must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate during the Sports Bash broadcast from 2 to 6. Eagles pregame show next
Hey, Pete, how's business? It's great. Foot traffic's still way down, but more people are finding